Hi, I'm Jordan Ty, that Rucking guy, and this is day 5 of the 62-mile Rucking challenge. Yesterday was the 4th of July, and as you can see, pretty gloomy. Dark clouds and despair. You know why? Because there ain't shit to be happy about. Not on this 4th of July. I saw somebody say, happy 15 days after Juneteenth. I'm like, a bit of a reach, but I'll count it. I'd rather celebrate that at a time like this than celebrate American independence. It's like, independence from what? You know, America's always talking about, oh, freedom, freedom, freedom. It's like, yeah, the freedom to starve to death, the freedom to go into fucking medical debt for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's the kind of freedom we're talking about. It's like, and yeah, you know, in America we always talk about like, oh, this is the freest country you could be in. This is the freest, most freedom. And it's like, most of your life is controlled by your finances. You know what I mean? Like, completely. It's like, you can't go to school unless you can afford it. You can't go to the doctor unless you can afford it. You can't. Oh, I swear one day I'm gonna get, the cardio's gonna get there, guys, I promise. But it's still so hard. Dude, I feel so bad for the guy that was going around putting up the signs that says fireworks are illegal, and nobody gave a shit. There's fireworks all last night, and like right in the apartment next to me and shit. And I'm like, Asher's losing his, well, he's not, he's just hiding in the bathroom, but you know, it's like dogs hate fireworks, veterans hate fireworks. Why are we doing this? And you know, something my roommate said was like, you know, we celebrate, like every 6 months we celebrate with fireworks. And I'm like, oh shit, you're right, yeah. 4th of July, and then New Year's, and then 4th of July, and New Year's again. Just every 6 months, we're popping fireworks to celebrate the world, you know, or America. But, it's like, I gotta settle in. I gotta get to this little leadership school up here before, oh, I don't know, dude, I never feel good. It's like, just to talk, I'm wasting so much of my energy. But again, I'm here with you guys, you know, I'm trying to show you what it's like, you know, put one foot in front of the other, keep it moving. But yeah, you already know what I'm gonna say. You already know it hurts, but you know, you just push that to the back of your mind, try to focus on other things, but the things I'm focusing on are making me more tired. But I guess it's all, you know, part of the fitness, you know, learning to ruck and talk and sound coherent. I guess what I'm feeling right now is like, damn, I know this walk is going to be like 40 minutes or something like that, and I know I have a lot of takes. It's just where to start, what to do, because it's like there's a million examples of why capitalism, patriarchy, and white supremacy are dumb as hell. And so it's just like, where to start, which is why I'm trying to get a dash cam. I want to film my my driving, like for Lyft every day, because that's where I'm like comfortable, and I talk to myself in the car for hours, and I'm just ripping, I'm just going and going and going, and I'd rather show people that. Or sometimes I get into conversations with my customers, you know, and sometimes those are good. I mean, luckily I don't have any horror stories with Lyft. Like, I don't have any really bad rides or drunk, like really awful people or something like that. But this is Texas, so I run into Republicans a lot, and so like those are my horror stories. But I also kind of love it because I love to talk politics, and it's like most Republicans assume that everybody else shares their worldview, so they just start saying shit as if you agree. And it's like they run into me and I'm like, motherfucker, I don't agree with that at all. And actually, I know a thing or two about that, so we're gonna talk about that because you don't know what you're talking about. And like, I remember I had a couple, like an older white couple in my car, and they were talking about how their niece or nephew or somebody, they're like, oh my gosh, their rent is so expensive, their rent is so high, like I don't know where they're gonna live, like I don't know how they afford it. And then the wife turns to me and is like, so what do you think of Biden in this whole housing thing? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, Biden in this housing? I'm like, Biden doesn't have anything to do with housing. And then they're like, are you a Democrat or Republican? And I'm like, thinking to myself, the only kind of person that asks whether you're Democrat or Republican is a Republican. Like, if you can't tell, brother, I know you're a fucking Republican. But they asked me that, and I'm like, well, I'm a leftist. Like, I don't really like what the Democrats are doing that much either. But like, I'm Democrat by default, you know. And then so we're talking about the housing thing, and then she pivots to, well, you know, I think it's just because like I'm a mom, like I'm a parent, but I really think these kids are just spending all their money on weed and video games. And I'm like, dog, what are you talking? You know, it's like, I don't think weed and video games is the difference between me being able to afford rent or not. You know, I think that the fact that housing prices keep going up every year, no matter what, is the problem. Like, every year your rent goes up, but your pay didn't go up any further. So what the fuck are you supposed to do with that? I gotta stop cussing. I gotta stop cussing so I can say that this is for kids to get more views or whatever the hell. Because when they age restrict, it's like, they don't show your shit to nobody. Well, until you build a consistent following, I guess. Which is, again, what I want to do, dude. This is like all I'm good at. I mean, not all that I'm good at, but like, this is what I know I'm fucking good at. Is like, when I get to talking to people in my car, all the fucking time they're like, wow, I never really thought about it like that. Or, yeah, you're right. Yeah, like you, I've never heard anyone say it like that before. And it's like, yeah, you never thought about it before. This is all I fucking think about. And it's all I think about because from an early age, I was exposed to the fact that like other people do not live like me, you know? And that's like shocking because you think like, yeah, everybody just has a life like I do. And it's like, no, brother, people got it a lot worse. I grew up in a mobile home park. I mean, it was nice. You know, it wasn't no 8-mile fucking trailer park. It was a mobile home park, you know. But the houses weren't mobile, you know. You ever seen like half a house on a big ass semi going down the way? It's like, well, they bring the two halves together, lower it down onto earthquake shocks, and there you go. It looks like a house, you know, just kind of small. Anyway, my community was like 95% elderly white people. But it wasn't a retirement community. And a couple years before I was born, a family had sued and fought to get in, like, hey, you can't discriminate against us just because we're not old people. Like, this isn't a retirement community. And so then, you know, they got in, and then obviously a couple years later, me and some other young families got in there. So it's like me with these young families and then a bunch of elderly white folks. And I would be in the, you know, concert hall or like event place, you know, space or whatever, and just looking around at all these old people and like, what the hell is all this? Like, but anyway, I remember being in my neighbor's kitchen, and he's like an older guy, he's kind of big, kind of looks like a mole, or like that guy from Atlantis, like the mole guy looking guy from Atlantis. But anyway, I'm standing in his house for some reason, and I'm just, you know, newspapers and trash, and the fridge is empty, and he's just like complaining about his life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is vastly different. I got fucking food and fruit snacks in my house, like, what the hell? And then obviously getting around my friends, It's like I was literally the only friend that had both parents. Like everybody else was a product of divorce, and all this. So I've always been sensitive to the fact that like other people have it worse, and well, it always made me wonder why. I was always like, because I never thought that there was anything like too special about me or my parents. I mean, my dad has had a really good job. He was a air traffic controller, but like I don't think we did anything to deserve like such a better life compared to all my friends. And like, I mean, 5 or 6 of my friends would come over multiple times in the week, and my mom was cooking for everybody, and it's like she kind of knew that like, and they aren't getting consistent meals as much as I am or we are. And so I've always been like, let me handle it, let me take it on, because I know that like it's easier for me, like it's not going to be as emotionally damaging to me if I do it, but I know it is going to be for you, because your life is like a lot more stressful and whatever. So I tend to put as much on my shoulders as I can, because it's just like I know I'm going through it, but other people got it way worse. So step up and alleviate some of that for them. And anyway, so yeah, it's like I've always been. I also had these 2 neighbor girls who were older than me. Like I was still in an elementary and they were like high schoolers, but seeing them, like they would hang out with my mom and like come over and stuff, and hearing them talk about boys and how they were getting treated and stuff like that. Like Jessica was like skinny, pretty, fucking like soft goth, and then Brittany was like a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, a little bit rough around the edges, a little bit, big mouth, big personality, and definitely a hard goth, hard metal, hardcore, like they're both wearing all black, but like, right, Jessica's like the softer one. I mean, damn, you could call it Taming of the Shrew, like Jessica was Bianca and Brittany was the shrew. I forget her name, Katharina. But yeah, so seeing how those 2 got treated differently and why they got treated differently by boys or society and stuff like that, like that had an effect on me. And what radicalized you? What did radicalize? Like, what really was like, hey, yo? Well, I mean, I think that really, honestly, because it's like, why do my friends have to deal with like such poverty and such like fuck ass situations? I didn't know it then, but I knew I didn't like it, and I knew that, I guess based off of the old white people in my community, I just kind of was like ingrained with, I'm not about this. Like, I know I'm white, but I'm not whatever the fuck that is. Whatever that is over there, I don't like it. And what that became was white supremacy. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the way that we all casually support it as white people today, that's what I picked up on early, and was like, I don't fuck with this. Like, I don't know. I always felt different. I always felt like there's something different about me. And, maybe not. But the truth of the matter is that I do not support whatever this whiteness is. Like, I want you to remove it from my soul, because it's like, it's just standing in the way of human connection. You know what I mean? It's like, whiteness is not about who you are or what you are. It's about everything that you're not. We're not ghetto, and we're not savage, and we're not this, and we're not that. But we don't actually have our own personal identity, because in order to be white, you have to give up your identity. which leaves you a fucking nothing person, dude. It's like, oh, white people have no culture. Yeah, because you had to give it up in order to be this new thing called white. You know, there was a time where Irish people weren't white, Italian people weren't white, Polish people weren't white. They literally would put signs like no blacks, no Poles, no dogs. Like, there were a time where a lot of people that we consider white today were not. And in order to like survive white supremacy, you gotta conform, you know? You gotta like, it's either conform to white supremacy or get unalived. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't blame black and brown people who kind of conform to white supremacy these days by being like Republican and shit like that, because you think it's gonna save you. You think that being a Republican, like, look guys, I'm on your side, I'm one of the good ones. It's like, guess what? As soon as it's just y'all, like when Republicans get their wish, and you know, they kick out all the Mexicans and lock up all the black people, and you know, round up all the Muslims and kick out all the trans, and it's just you guys left, white Republicans and the POC that also support them, they are going to turn on you immediately. Like, you are not safe just because you've been pandering to them and like trying to fucking be buddy with them. But again, I understand. It's like the choices are getting hate crimed, or like not being super safe, but at least not dead, you know. And but you know, it's like, I understand it because I'm not POC, so that's not a decision that I have to make. Like, I'm white, and as long as I don't as long as I'm not too aggressive, I guess, then like I'll be fine. Like, if I'm in public, like nobody's gonna think anything of me, you know. So yeah. I don't know. It's just making decent time. I guess I feel like talking about white people. But yeah, it's like white people are so tired of like talking about race, like they really don't want to hear it. But it's like, brother, we haven't even started. Like, white people don't even really know the full extent of all the fuck ass shit that we've done, you know, to other groups of people. And like, we haven't even begun to really listen to it. And as soon as people start telling us about what we've done, we're like, oh my God, that was the past, let it go. And it's like, yeah, but we're still feeling the effects of it, you know? It's like, white people are like, why can't black people just pull themselves up by their bootstraps? It's like, well, very fucking recently, actually, you know, they wouldn't let black people live in certain neighborhoods, right? They wouldn't even show you the home. And if you tried to sell your home, they would undervalue it. And literally, like, selling your home for more than what you bought it for is how a majority of white families transfer generational wealth. Now, it may not have been a lot, but like, I guarantee when your parents like got old enough or whatever, you know, they were going to retire, they sold their home for a profit. They took the profit, paid for their funeral costs and, you know, end of life costs, and then probably set you up with a little bit of money to get you started and to get your family started. You know, you just had a newborn or whatever, you got shit to pay for, bam, you know. And that generational wealth is able to build and onto the next and onto the next. So literally, like, that was like 2 generations ago, you know, that shit was happening. And so you just have hundreds of thousands of black families that were like barred from that. We're not allowed to create generational wealth. And you think that that's not going to have an effect on people today. It's like, yeah, my grandparents sold their house for more than what they bought it. That helped my parents out. That money helped raise me and put me in a better situation. you know? And just like, what if you just weren't allowed to do that, you know? Or just, it's like, you know, white people love to fucking be oppressed and be the victim and like, what about us? And it's like, has the US government ever dropped a bomb on you, on a city that you live in? No? Then shut up. Because the American government has dropped bombs on black cities, decimated them to the ground. You should look up how many man-made lakes used to be black towns. They would just burn it to the ground and then later on turn it into a lake. So now it's like, this used to be a place where entire communities of black people, because you know, it's like, oh, fuck you, don't be around here. And it's like, okay, fine, you hate us so much, we'll go off and create our own city, our own space, and you won't have to deal with us anymore. But apparently, even that's not enough. Even if I go off on the other side of the planet and go live over there, it's like, you're still gonna come over here and bother me, you know? And so we drop bombs on black cities, or white mobs would just come in and burn the whole town to the ground and like kill and rape a bunch of people. And then it gets turned into a lake, and then some white family is fucking ski doing and fucking jet skiing on a lake that is like a mass cemetery, basically, you know? And it's like, if something like that's never happened to you, I'm gonna need you to pipe down, you know, about reverse racism or whatever. And there's also there's this movie about a doctor who essentially sterilized like something crazy, like 60,000 Hispanic workers, like by lying to them and manipulating them and using like the language barrier to get them to sign like agreeing to these surgeries to sterilize like men and women, and like literally 60,000 of them, just because this white man in a position of power was like, fuck it, this is what I want to do. And I guess that's what really upsets me about white supremacy and a lot of white people in general, is that your world is so fucking white and you don't even notice it. I saw a TikTok recently of a girl being like, here are my top 10 YouTube channels for a girl who's been obsessed with YouTube since 2007 or whatever the fuck, right? Or who's been obsessed with YouTube for the last 10 years. I'm like, okay, you obviously have some experience. You're claiming that, you know, you know all about YouTube and all the channels and all this and that. Her top 10 literally was 9 white people, and then 1/2 of one channel had a person of color in it. It was those fucking Ghost Files, fucking Ghost Hunter, like ass channels. And that was the only person of color out of 10 slots. And it's like, brother, there's not one black or brown content creator that you like on YouTube, like, and you don't even notice. And like, that's what disgusts me too, is that when you're white, the only people that you listen to are other white people. And so you assume that they're right because they're white and they're men. Like, they're straight white men, so they must be right about what they're saying. And it's like, these are the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet, dude. Every time I see videos of like Republicans or like the House just passed the worst bill ever, and you see who's standing around, it's like these fucking old crusty white dudes. And it's like, this is who you believe? And it's like, I know why you believe them, but when you actually listen to what they have to say, they're dumb as fuck. They don't know what they're talking about. And so that's what's frustrating, is that like, you will literally believe anyone as long as they're a straight white man without even like evaluating the context of like their argument, you know? And that's why like debating is so popular, because Republicans love to debate, because it's not about an exchange in ideas. It's about showing strength and showing like force, you know? It's like, if I just say things that are short, quippy, and wrong, and then my leftist debate partner has to explain in a thorough detail why I'm wrong, and then I just hit him with another thing that's short, quippy, and wrong. Well, then it looks like he's always defending himself and I'm always on the attack. And so for a lot of people who don't know any better, it's gonna look like I won this debate. But it's like, right, but if you were actually listening or used your brain for 2 seconds, like, dude, I guess I was talking about it this morning to somebody else, so I'll tell you guys that I really got discouraged from making content because I got into a little micro internet beef with like an ex-friend of mine, and it sucked because I don't know, I was trying to be like edgy and like viral and like, you know, just say it with no context and like whatever. So I'm like, I fucking hate white people. I hate them so much. Like, they're standing in the way of change. Like, things could be so much better. We could be living in a utopia if white people would just get the fuck out of the way, you know? And so my friend was like, yo, whoa, where is this coming from? What are you talking about? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What am I talking about? Capitalism, white supremacy, patriarchy, like these fuck ass systems that are hurting everyone. And they literally didn't believe me. Like, they don't believe in systemic racism and you know, all this stuff. Talk about socialism. Here's the craziest shit. Here's the craziest shit, and I never got over it. It pisses me off so much. Is that she was like, "Oh, you like socialism so much? Well, you should try going into a socialist country." Because I did. I went to Greece on a, you know, summer semester exchange or whatever, and the schools were so bad, the students went on strike, and we had to leave our, you know, exchange program early because the students were on strike. And I was like, oh shit. And, you know, I mean, I know she's wrong about socialism, but I haven't heard about Greece. I don't know anything about this. So let me do my research. Let me get into it, right? So it's like, Greece is a socialist country. They do socialism. They have free public school. And that's why the schools are bad, and that's why the students were on strike. That's her position, okay? And so I look into it, fucking 5 minutes of Googling, and it's like, they're not a socialist country. They have a capitalist organization of the economy. They have like some socialism like we do, you know, like the fire department or the public library or the bus, and like public university is a part of that. But anyway, so they're not socialists, and they were like in a massive debt, and they had cut their public school funding by 50% in order to cover their debts because of the 2008 financial crisis. And so, yeah, when you cut the funding to the school by 50%, students are obviously going to be upset, right? But the only reason they're doing that is to pay for like the debt that they now owe. Like, it's owed now, you know what I mean? Like, when America's housing market burst, it's like it set off a chain reaction of like, oh shit, okay, so you know, I need a bunch of money real quick, so I need it from you. It's like, I don't have it right now, I need it from him. Well, I don't have it from him, I need it from that guy. And so everybody's trying to scramble to fucking figure out how they're gonna get this money, you know, after that happened. And so that's what they did, which is not something a socialist country would do, right? A socialist country would not cut cut funding to public programs. But they're not a socialist country, like I fucking said. They have a neoliberal president. Liberal is capitalist. So you were there in the country and you got the situation entirely wrong. But you used that, or she used that, to flex like intellectual superiority over me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. I have a degree in US history, and I was physically in Greece. I went there. I saw it with my own eyes. And then for you to just be wrong, for you to be like, you couldn't have been more wrong about the situation, right? And so I call that out, just completely ignores it. And we've been going back and forth about systemic racism, socialism, all this and that. And then she hits me with this. Oh, well, if you want to debate me, if you want to talk to me anymore, get enough followers to go live on TikTok, then I'll debate you. And it's like, I had like 20 fucking followers at the time. I'm like, what the hell? And so I knew it was gonna take me forever to get there. And like, they had a much bigger platform than I did. They had thousands of followers, and they're making videos calling me a misogynist, and I hate women, and I'm trying to degrade her education, and like this and that. And it's like, dude, I don't think you're wrong because you're a woman. I think you're wrong because you're a fucking Republican. So obviously, you've been on the wrong side of history this entire time. And once again, you were on the wrong side of it. Like, and so that's why I stopped posting for a while, because it's like, you know, all these people just saw her video, and now they just like think I'm a fucking misogynist, and nobody saw my video. And like, nobody saw the garbage ass takes that she was giving me about how like, oh, you know, they let black people into college with lower GPAs, and like just crazy shit. I'm like, dog, what are you talking about? And so I stopped talking to them, and they just moved on with their life. But you know, whatever, until I can go live. So follow me on TikTok at Commie Commentary. Wow, this is like, I'm talking more, talking a little bit easier. I'm almost to the gas station already. It's only been 30 minutes, you know, this usually takes me 40. So I'll probably get this done in like 35, or no, I still gotta walk back from the gas station, but this felt a lot better. Still dripping, still sitting in soup, but you know, I was so distracted with talking that I don't feel how fucking hot it is. Or 30% rank capacity. But yeah, so that's why I stopped for like a while, you know? And I'm just like, who cares? Nobody cares, like, you know, whatever. And it's just like, and then I saw her and her friend doing some dorky little fucking dance and being like, help me get to 10K followers so I can go to this event. And I'm like, this is who I'm beefing with? These fucking goofs? Like, her and her friend, because I started getting into it with her friend too about abortion and shit like that. And it's like, that woman, she posted it on Facebook talking about like, I talked this woman out of getting an abortion recently, and now she put me as somebody who might want to care for it, because she's like giving up the baby now. And it's like, no, I can't do that. It would ruin me financially. It would ruin my marriage. Like, no, I can't. And it's like how are you going to talk a woman into keeping a baby that she obviously didn't fucking want? And then when shit goes south, you know, and their child is being taken away by CPS because they obviously were not ready for a child, or not in a situation to have a child, but luckily for you, your dumbass talked them into it. Now this child is in the world dealing with the foster care system because you want to fucking feel good about yourself and be like, I saved the fucking baby by not having it aborted, and you doom them to a life of suffering. Congratulations. That was intense. Sorry about that, you guys. I definitely got a little too emotional about that. But it's just like, I felt so shut down and defeated at the time. And it's like, I hate when a motherfucker walks away from a situation thinking that they were right and you were so wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even know how wrong you were, you know? And you probably never know because you just moved on. You just don't care whether you're right or wrong. Like, that's what like pisses me off though, is that it's like, no, we cannot have a difference of opinion, you know? Agree to disagree is for fucking, you know, your favorite flavor of ice cream, not fucking human rights. And so it's like, dude, your worldview contributes to the suffering of millions of fucking people, and that's what I got a problem with. Like, you thinking the way that you do contributes to the, like, is the reason why things are still the way that they are. Because if white people wanted things to change, that shit would change tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, if white people really wanted things to get better, then they would, because they have the numbers and they have the fucking, like, I don't understand how white people try to blame everyone else for the problems that America faces when it's literally like haven't you been a majority of people this entire time? And haven't you been in all major positions of power the entire time? Aren't 44 out of the 46, or like, you know, whatever, 45 out of the 46 presidents all been white men? You know what I mean? Aren't all the congressmen white men? Aren't all the senators white men? And you could say like, oh, well, what about that one lady? Or what about, she's Hawaiian? Or like, what about this? She's from, okay. Just because there's a couple of people of color doesn't fucking change the fact that a majority of all the positions of power in this country have been held by straight white men. So who else do you blame? Like, you're a majority of people, you make all the laws, you vote on the laws, and, you know, and the reason why we ignore black and brown protests so much is because white people don't give a shit. But if white people would actually join a fucking protest and actually fight for their lives to get better, then like white supremacy couldn't ignore that, you know? But white people just like, well, it doesn't affect me personally, so I don't care. And that's the fucking problem, man. And it's like, white people are so afraid to give up power to anyone else because they're afraid that like other people might do to white people what white people have done to everyone else. But like, here's the news flash: nobody wants to be white. Nobody wants to do to white people what white people have done to everybody else. We just want you to stop. Just literally stop doing what you're doing, because it's affecting you too. Your life sucks because of you. Like, the whole world actually, because American fucking imperialism and white supremacy and colonialism is literally like fucking over the whole world. We bully the entire planet, dude, into submission. There are 600 military bases all over the world. There are no military bases of other countries on American soil. We just hang out all over the world. Just let people know, hey, we're nearby. Don't ever think about screwing us, you know? Because we learned our lesson. When we ran off on the plug twice with the British, and then they actually pulled up on us, we were like, oh shit, never again. See, we thought we were cool because they were on the other side of the ocean and they wouldn't show up, but then they did. So that's what we learned. And so now we have military bases all over the world in every fucking country, so that we can always be a physical presence and let them know, hey, I know you think we're on the other side of the world, but we're not. We're in your fucking backyard. And if you don't, you know, do what we want you to do, we're gonna invade. Type shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, dude, nobody wants to be fucking white. Nobody wants to, like, the only reason people agree with whiteness is because they don't want to get hate crimed. They don't want to be murdered. That's literally it. Nobody likes this shit. Like, not even white people. And that's the crazy notion to me, is that like most white people don't want to be white, aka the suburbs love of fucking hip-hop and Young Thug or some shit, you know? And it's like, but white people aren't asking the question, how come nobody wants to be white? How come everybody hates being white? And it's because like this shit sucks, dude. But I'm here and I gotta open the gate, so I'll see y'all tomorrow. God damn.